Hi there, and welcome to BSF Recovery Team. If you watched our last video, you'll know that we headed out onto the Blue Trail, out to Three Hills, to pick up a Bronco, and we ran into quite a bit of traffic when we got there. The full-size Bronco that we were sent out to retrieve had busted some bolts on the radius arm and had a spring perch that wouldn't keep a spring in place anymore. In our last video, we also showed you that we got stuck in a little bit of a traffic jam while we waited for this trail rider to change a tire on his Blazer. And you also saw that this young lady happened to get her Toyota stuck in a mud hole. And while we were waiting for the Blazer to get its tire changed, and because we can't leave a lady in distress, we pulled her out of the mud. After that, we were able to get vehicles moved around enough to where we could get to the front of the Bronco.
Yeah.
You want to direct him?
Yeah.
With the bolts broken on the Bronco's left radius arm, we were going to have to hook things a little bit different to keep from ripping the axle out from underneath the Bronco as we were towing it. The J-hook around the axle tube on the left side just wasn't going to cut it.
Right, okay. All right. Not a problem. Instead of hooking on the axle, you hook back farther. You still go under the axle, but they hook back here farther somewhere. Somehow.
Well, that's what I was looking at.
Grab the other bigger chain in there with the it's on the other side, the long chain. Yeah, but I want it under there.
The solution was a long chain hooked to the frame behind the radius arm, and then the chain strung underneath the axle tube and up to the sling. By doing this, that put the pull point back on the frame instead of the axle tube that might come out from underneath the truck.
So,
Levels out by the time we go a little bit. If it doesn't, we'll stop in the field out there and level it out. Okay. All right. We're ready to go.
Once we started moving, the Bronco leveled out a little bit and was towing behind the wrecker rather nicely. But it wasn't long before we got to a spot in the trail where we had to stop and raise the Bronco up a little bit higher to keep from grounding out the front end. When towing on level pavement, you can keep the front end of the towed vehicle relatively low, but out in the rough conditions like we have on the trails, quite often you have to pick them up rather high to keep the front end from touching the ground and loosening up on the sling. I was also keeping a very close eye on the Bronco because I noticed it got a little off center on the sling.
Yeah, we're heading out of the woods with a broken truck.
There's some big dreadlock mobile coming, and then a Razor 570, and then this Jeep Cherokee will be coming up behind them. They all going with me? 10-4.
It wasn't long after that when we came upon a little mud hole in the trail that had kind of a steep ledge to crawl out on the other side. Because I was towing and driving slow and careful, and with the added weight of the Bronco on the back of the wrecker actually had a little bit of a tough time crawling out the other side of the mud hole and started slipping around a little bit. So we had to back up and get another run at it with a little bit more momentum to get the back end of the wrecker up and out of the mud hole. Then, just on the other side of the mud hole was a washout. And because we were slipping around a little bit, we weren't quite lined up with the washout the way I wanted to be.
Why's it turning? She's turning. She's rolling over.
Well, I really wasn't worried about flipping the Bronco over, but it was a situation that required a little bit more attention. So, before we got out of the wrecker, we lowered the Bronco down, got the center of gravity closer to the ground, and got out to take a look. After getting out and taking a look, I could see we were through the worst part of it. I could also tell that if we straightened out the front wheels of the Bronco so I could keep the center of gravity low and the front tires on the Bronco touching the ground, I was pretty sure we could get through the rest of it.
Right there.
And sure enough, that worked perfectly. We came through without flipping the Bronco over or losing it off of the sling.
No, I knew I was over far enough. I thought he was going to stop and rehook it.
Yeah, well, we slid over too far.
Yeah.
The other way now.
Yeah, I see that.
But it can't slide any farther because the hook's in there. Or the eyelet. Pintle, whatever you want to call it.
Well, the rest of the trail was no problem, and we soon had him back to his campsite.
You got it in a gear? It's not going to roll?
Should be.
Okay.
Put it back apart.
How's that trail ride?
Oh, besides that one spot on the hill,
That tree I thought was gonna almost get you too.
Did we scare you a little bit? No?
I was just getting ready to bail the bastards out.
you've officially been hooked. You get one of those.
Alright,
You can proudly display it or hide it somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Come on, Abby. Buckle up.
Thanks for watching BSF Recovery Team. Keep wheeling, stay safe, and maybe we'll see you out in the woods.